Hey guys, well, first off, I just want to thank you guys for all the response that you guys left on this particular topic of whether it's ever appropriate to intentionally ask a pitcher to hit a batter. Most of the things that you guys wrote, I really enjoyed, and I just want to tell you thanks for the good, honest content that we could all discuss. So I know you guys have been waiting a little bit to hear my point of view on it. I'm going to talk about two particular instances where I think it's appropriate to ask a pitcher to hit a batter. And these are a couple of areas where we actually try to teach our pitchers to know when it's appropriate to do this, even without our instruction. It's something that we really try to teach them to kind of learn on their own when it's appropriate, not really wait for the instruction from a coach. So the first situation I think is the most severe happened to us last spring, and I'm sure most of you guys have encountered it. We happened to be just traveling to an inner city team. We were the more polished travel team coming into the city, and they were just really jacked up to play us. And it ended up being a very unruly group of kids, not a lot of baseball skills, but they were really tough-nosed kids, very athletic kids. They were actually beating up on us a little bit during that game, and the coach was really fueling the fire. The kids were just trash talking, using really foul, vile language. The coach was using the same language. You could see him over on the side really, getting his kids pumped up to talk that way, and kind of teaching them how to taunt. And really, it was just a mess. And my team watched me actually on two occasions address the umpires between innings, trying to get the umpires to make these adjustments and get the game under control. And the umpires themselves were very intimidated by the other coach. So, my team saw me try to take other actions and try to get the game under control prior to taking this final step. So when we couldn't get the game under control, I did instruct a 14-year-old pitcher of ours to go ahead and put one in the back of another player. Now it ends up that he failed. It was a rookie pitcher, a very young, inexperienced pitcher. And not only did he not hit the batter, and this particular batter that I asked him to hit was one of the kids who was really the leader of the pack, using the worst language out there, really taunting, and when it came time to hit him, not only did he not hit him, but he ended up throwing pitches right down the middle, and the kid ended up drilling one out to the center field fence, and thankfully our center fielder was able to make a spectacular play to end the inning. It could have really been a catastrophe. So when he got back to the dugout, I really chastised him and let him know how disappointed I was in the situation, because I really felt there was a lack of effort. I mean, inexperienced or not, he didn't even come close to accomplishing what I had asked him to do. So at the end of the game, we really talked about it as a team, and the best way for me to describe it to you guys is, if you know it or not, I mean, I have three boys, and I raised, three boys, and for those of you that have had to go through that experience, you'll know that there's really a time in a young man's life that you have to teach him that it is appropriate to fight, to stand up for himself. And I tried to make our players understand that this team was doing everything in their power to, really humiliate not only us as baseball players, but they were really trying to humiliate us as a club, our families, and everything that we represented. The baseball really came secondary in this particular situation. So, I really talk to my kids as if I was a dad talking to his sons and teaching them when it's appropriate to stand up and fight. So in the case of really standing up and fighting for the honor and the integrity of your club or your family or yourself, I think it is appropriate sometimes that you fight. And in baseball sense, we were talking about hitting a player with a pitch, and in this case it was really a great opportunity because we were able to throw at a kid that was really one of the kids that were inflicting all this humiliation on the kids. So it just didn't work out that way, but nevertheless we really turned it into a learning opportunity. And one of the things that kind of hurt me is that I had felt that this young, inexperienced pitcher that was a rookie on the team, this was a great opportunity for him to show the senior players in the team that he might not be at the level where they are skill set wise or ability wise or athleticism wise, but he was a kid given a situation that could go out, that was willing to go out and really plunk a kid and stand up for his team and fight for his team. And I think that really would have elevated him to a very different status on the team. So aside from accomplishing the actual hit, I really generally looked at this as thinking that it was a win-win for us as a player, as a team, as an organization, and that this kid would actually benefit in many more ways than just accomplishing the hitting of the batter. So the other way that I think that it's appropriate sometimes to hit a batter is when you have an unruly coach. And for example, we not too long ago had a game where we were getting beat up on a little bit. We were this particular fall, we're a very young team playing up a couple of years, and we came across a team that was full of kids that were a couple of years older than us playing down in the fall. And they were beating up on us a little bit, and they were up 10 runs, and the other coach is stealing bases when they're up 10, 11 runs. So that was a situation where we instructed a kid to put one in the kid's ribs, and we talked about it again as a team. Now this particular subject is a little bit more different than the first, and that is because now you as a coach or a pitcher, if he is mature enough to take it upon himself, is actually retaliating against a player for something that the coach is doing. So a lot of times your players are stealing, and this particular coach was sending his players, so he was calling the steal. So the best way I could describe this would be like you asking your son to go beat up a kid for something that his dad did. Now that's a little bit more on the line, a little bit more sensitive. So kind of that's how I really think of that in this particular situation. So you want to be very careful when it's another coach that is just really acting unruly or displaying poor sportsmanship or doing something that really bothers you. You want to be very careful before you ask your kids to do something in retaliation when it's not the other players doing it. So, this was a little bit more of a mature player that I instructed, and we talked about it as a team, and I made the players understand that I felt that the coach was trying to humiliate the team and the ball club. So, it was a learning experience. It was a very different situation. The kids were a little bit older than the last group. But nonetheless, I made them understand that was something that, I think I was instructing them to do a little bit more from me, coach to coach. But at the same time, if I didn't really feel that coach was trying to inflict pain and humiliate the team or the club or the organization, I probably would have never asked them to do that. But I really made them understand the difference between, hitting somebody out of retaliation for something the way the players themselves are conducting themselves out in the field, and just something that an administrator or a coach is doing out there. So I think that they're very two different circumstances. I think there are appropriate times under both of those umbrellas that a kid, should be able to do that and have the leniency to do that. But I think the instruction, the teaching is very different, and kids need to know the difference. So those are my two instances where we've used it, and I think they're probably the only two times that I really entertain the thoughts of a kid hitting a batter. We never really ask a kid to do that, or teach the kids it's inappropriate to do it just to put a guy on. We'll just go ahead and do the intentional walk, so we don't do that to save pitch counts and things like that. But when it comes to fighting for the integrity of your club or your family or yourself or your community, then by all means there are times where we think that players need to stand up and fight. So it's been a great discussion. I want to thank you for all your posts. I have a couple other little controversial topics we're going to post on because this really worked out great. So thanks for all your input. Until next time.